well known for its diversity. Diversity in its scenery, recreation, art, and cuisine. I'm Katriina Cotten, and welcome to Indie Corner BC, where we search out and showcase inspiring stories from seemingly average BC residents who have struck out on their own to create their own destiny and success. Join us as we take you on a cultural and scenic tour of Vancouver and introduce you to local and aspiring entrepreneurs, with today's feature focusing on the vibrant and vivacious artwork of local artist and entrepreneur Carla Mooking. Among so many other things, our amazing city of Vancouver is well known for its diverse and prolific art scene. With its many art galleries, museums, art festivals, as well as city-commissioned art displays in many of the public spaces, Vancouver is home to many aspiring, talented, and even famous artists. Standing on the corner of First and Pemberton in North Vancouver, in front of the long-time favorite local eatery, Pemberton Station Neighborhood Pub. In addition to being a great place to grab a drink and some local fare with friends, it is also an immersive place to admire the work of local artists. Currently displayed are some of Carla's original paintings in the form of her miniature art blocks. Specializing in acrylic paint on canvas, her work reflects the inner energy and beauty of her subjects. Her bold use of bright and vibrant color, in combination with her implementation of organic shapes, create a style all her own.
When people find out I'm a visual artist, one of the first questions they ask is, what's your style? What kind of style do you paint? And the style sort of started as an idea. I did figure paintings at first, and it was as though you're looking at someone through an infrared camera, and if you can see their energy, as if you can see them from the inside out, from like their inner beauty or their aura. So that was the initial idea, and it's evolved now into portraits, and I use a lot of bright colors. I try to capture their essence or their inner beauty.
Originally hailing from her birthplace of Trinidad and Tobago, Carla at age 13 immigrated to Edmonton, Canada, with her parents and two brothers.
I was born in Trinidad, and my family moved from Trinidad to Edmonton, Alberta, in January. So we went from 30 above to 30 below zero. And it was quite a shock. It was a climate shock, culture shock, all the shocks. It was very hard to adjust. I hated the winter, still do. I did live in Edmonton, I think 20 years. I did take art in high school. I did do some painting, but I always took art classes. I majored in illustration at MacEwan University, so I would be taking watercolor classes. Cartooning, I took a class, etc. And then when I first picked up that paintbrush, that's when I fell in love. When we did the unit on painting, acrylic specifically, color theory. I never missed a day of school because I loved it so much. But I abandoned the idea of actually doing it full time because my mom said, you need to get a real job. So that was my hobby. I didn't really know that you could be even a graphic designer. But I did find temporary work. I did do some freelance work here and there. So my first job out of school, I worked at a boutique design firm, and I did a lot of illustration work for the River City Shakespeare Festival. So another poster I did was for the 25th anniversary of the Edmonton Folk Festival. If you'll notice, the style is borrowed from Norval Morrisseau, who's one of my favorite Indigenous artists. And then as soon as I saw an opportunity to move to Vancouver, I took it because I thought, okay, milder climate, love the beach.
Despite being so far north from her native tropical island country, Carla remains very connected to her Caribbean roots, which is reflected in her work.
The gray here in the city is very depressing sometimes. And I find that I do most of my work, my painting, in the wintertime. To combat the gray, I use a lot of bright colors. In Edmonton, there's not a lot of bright colors either. I just go back to those carnival celebrations in Trinidad where they use a lot of neon and fuchsia and turquoise. And turquoise is actually one of my favorite colors, and I use it in almost every painting. There's a couple of paintings where I purposely tried not to use it. It was very hard. And I use that color a lot because I find it brings a lot of peace and calm to me. I really miss the natural beauty of the islands, all those bright colors. So that's why I put them into my paintings.
Her artwork most often de-emphasizes the skin color of her human subjects. Instead, her goal is to see past a person's pigmentation and highlight their inner energy and beauty of the people she paints.
So the first series of figures that I did for my first group art show, one of the titles of the painting was Mixed Blood. And there were no natural skin tones. It was a figure piece of a woman, and she was posing, and it was all bright colors. And that resonated with me. I named it that because I'm of mixed blood. I have Irish, Venezuelan, and from Trinidad, Trini blood.
The island of Trinidad is an incredibly multicultural place. Its population is remarkably diverse, especially for such a small nation, where approximately 1 out of every 4 citizens are, like myself and Carla, of mixed race.
When you just look at someone and you see their inner beauty, you see their energy, you get a sense of who they are, and it has nothing to do with their natural skin tone.
Carla loves her commute to the office, which is a short walk down the hallway from her kitchen to her spare room that is her studio. And while Carla has done better than many aspiring artists in regards to making a consistent living at her passion for painting, the journey has not been without significant challenges. Challenges financially and, at times, inspirationally. But like many professions, the art of promoting oneself is essential to acquiring success. I'm sure Carla would agree. Fortune does favor the bold.
A lot of artists are notoriously bad at promoting themselves. They're very talented artists that are afraid to put themselves out there. And it's a shame because they're less talented artists making millions of dollars. And they're making all that money because they face their fear. They don't have the fear of rejection. And they put themselves out there. I put on my own art shows. I did a couple of shows where I sold nothing. And I almost gave up painting. And I thought, why am I doing this? So at that point, I thought to myself, maybe you just need to get the bills paid. And I was really sad about it. I was pretty depressed.
Did you think maybe at that point your mother was right? Did that ever occur to you?
Mom was right. No.
Okay.
No. So I decided, okay, I just need something to pay the bills. But eventually I got into an entrepreneur EI program, and they step by step walked you through starting your own business, including building a website, marketing materials. By the end of that program, I believe it was 4 months, I had a website up and I had my own art show in Yaletown at a venue there. I do live painting sometimes at coffee shops. I used my graphic design skills to create posters and flyers and all the marketing materials. And I also printed my art on t-shirts. And I did pillows with my art on them. And I also did tote bags. So sort of a retail environment. And then I would do live painting in the window during the day sometimes, and people would walk by and see me painting and then come in. But there were a lot of days where nobody would come in. I would sell nothing. And again, very discouraging. And I almost, again, gave up painting for a while. But then Prince passed away. And I was a huge Prince fan. I loved him so much. And so I decided to do a portrait of him just for my own healing. And it turned out to be a really beautiful piece. And I posted it on my Facebook page. People just absolutely loved it. And I got a lot of comments saying, you need to do more of these portraits. So that's how the series started. And that same year, Muhammad Ali died and David Bowie died. So that was the sort of the beginning of the portrait series.
Carla's entrepreneurial training was key in learning to think outside the box to create supplemental forms of income while awaiting her next art show or commissioned painting, making Carla a true entrepreneur.
So I learned early on that artists have to create their own opportunities. I work on a lot of portraits, so I decided to create some smaller pieces, little canvas prints that were at a more affordable price point. And I believe they're around $60 at that time. I have my art blocks up at the Pemberton pub on the North Shore. And one day, someone came in and commented, "I see dead people." And yes, a lot of them are deceased, but therein is the healing. They think back to that time when they were listening to Bob Marley or Prince, in my case, in the park with my friends. It takes them back to that, and sometimes they hear the music in their head. You look at the port and you're like, oh, that's John Lennon. Wow, I totally remember listening to him. Or Live Aid, and there's Freddie Mercury, and it takes them back. They hear the music in their head. When they purchase a piece, I often get comments that it just livened up their space, and they feel joy when they see it. That is the purpose of my art. I do want to bring that healing energy, and it gives me joy that they have this in their home. And I'm a part of that, and I like that connectivity. So when they look at the piece, it takes them back to that time when they were listening to that music. The nostalgia kicks in.
When Carla is painting, she often gets into a groove, what she describes as almost a trance-like state. To keep her in that state, she uses the music of her subject to help her stay focused and inspired.
In this latest series, and a lot of them are musicians, so when I'm painting, I often listen to their music the entire time, and I fall a little bit in love with my subjects sometimes. So when that piece sells, or if it, in the case of commissions, when I have to ship it off somewhere, I get a bit of separation anxiety because it's like letting go of one of your children sometimes. As I'm packaging it and shipping it off, I say a little goodbye, and at least I know it's going to get home.
Despite the increase in the commissioned paintings and her online merchandising, Carla still hustles to ensure that her art business gets the exposure that it needs.
You'd be amazed at how many business owners will put your art up in their space. I'm always looking for venues around the city. Sometimes I'm approached to put my art up in a certain venue. For example, Meat on Main approached me through my Instagram and asked if I would have my art up for 2 months. So I went in and I had the entire wall to myself, and all my original pieces were up for 2 months. And another gallery in White Rock approached me, and she was just a fan of my art. She bought my piece at an art market and remembered me when she bought her gallery. I had someone that came into my pop-up, and he lives in Toronto, and months later, after the pop-up was closed, he contacted me through Instagram and said, "Hey, that George Michael piece, I want to buy it." So you just never know when opportunities will show up.
Seems that artistic talent runs in the family. Carla's daughter Jade is following in her mother's creative footsteps. She is a hard-working and talented musician working towards her own artistic career.
When I got to Vancouver in 2010, my daughter was 13 years old, and it was very, very difficult moving from Edmonton back to Vancouver. We have a lot of family there. She's also an artist, and she's seen me overcome my fears and put myself out there. And now she's doing the same thing. She's pursuing her music passion, and she's a songwriter and singer, and she's actually just recorded an EP, and I'm going to be designing the album cover. And I've been told that 3D Media is going to be using some of her music for this episode, if she signs the release.
We ain't even gotten to the best part. No, no. Ooh, you're so good to me. I found you in every melody. I see you in the mountains, I see you in the salty sea. When I'm with you, it comes so easily. Baby,
One of Carla's more notorious and popular pieces is her Buddha, partially inspired by her admiration of its peaceful philosophy, as well as by her trip to Sri Lanka.
I appreciate a lot of the philosophies of Buddhism, and I'm all about a peaceful life. Live and let live. The Buddha piece, this is actually the third Buddha. This exact pose and everything. I've sold the first one, and I posted it on my Facebook page, and someone contacted me and says, "I want you to paint that exact Buddha, but I want it in a different size." So I had to repaint it for that commission. And then this one, someone commented when I painted this piece, like I painted him like he's a rock star. So the typical Buddha, it's stone, right? So I actually just kind of bring him to life. I guess I just wanted to have my take on it.
During the production of this episode, we had planned to get some footage of her preparing to paint, but we wanted to go a step further. We ended up with an opportunity to visit Carla, just as she started a new commissioned painting of a celebrity musician. We did our best to capture a bit of the magic of Carla and her process from start to finish.
I don't want to go another hour, yeah, without your lips on mine. And even if I we'd still go together like lemon and lime. Ooh, but baby, you're so sweet. Golden like a honey and fresh like a peach. I want you in the mornings, I want you in the afternoon. Woo, babe, there's nothing that I wouldn't do. Baby, I don't lie when I tell you that the sky, baby, is shading. My darling, it cries. Baby, it rained on the very same day that we parted ways.
One of my favorite quotes is from Degas, which is, "Art is not what you see, but what you make others see."
Don't you just love the vibrant but calming energy her artwork invokes? If you would like to see more of Carla's paintings or would love a consultation, check her website out at carlamooking.com or find her on Instagram at carlamooking.
My hope is that when people view my art, they can see the beauty within the subject and ultimately the beauty within themselves.
That brings us to yet another close on an edition of Indie Corner BC. We hope you enjoyed seeing Carla's artwork as much as we enjoyed presenting it to you. Join us again next time for more scenic views of Vancouver and inspiring stories from local business owners who have realized they are making a difference with their hopes and dreams. Until then, enjoy Vancouver and everything it has to offer.